Good morning and a warm welcome to all attendees of the annual breakfast with the superintendents hosted by Birmingham Bloomfield Chamber. My name is Lawrence Lewis, Chamber Ambassador, and I'm honored to represent the Birmingham Bloomfield Chamber Board of Directors, staff, and ambassadors at this morning's event. The Chamber is dedicated to improving the quality of life in the communities we work and live in, and we firmly believe that public schools are a strong education system is a cornerstone of a thriving community. We are excited to have our school leaders with us today as they prepare for the upcoming school year. Following their presentations, we will conduct a moderated questions and answer session. So please write down your questions on the note cards in front of you, and a chamber staff member will collect them. We would like to express our sincere gratitude to our sponsors, Michigan United Credit Union and Oakland Community College, for their support in making this event possible. Once again, thank you for joining us for this important conversation. We hope you enjoy the presentations and gain valuable insights from our esteemed school leaders. And now, I'd like to introduce Linda Hatfield, Vice President of Business Development at Michigan United Credit Union, who will introduce our first presenter.
Let's see here. Good morning, and thank you, Lawrence. Michigan United Credit Union is a proud legacy sponsor of the Birmingham Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce. And as part of our sponsorship, we are happy to always be a part of this particular event. And a little bit of history of how we started is because in 1931, November 23rd, Birmingham Teachers Credit Union was organized and chartered in the state of Michigan by two Birmingham teachers. And it was located in a classroom at Barnum Elementary School. And it served the teachers and other employees of the Birmingham schools. And in 1965, they moved to a small house on Woodward Avenue. So if you ever seen that barber shop there, that's where we were. And then eventually, in 1972, we moved to our current Birmingham location at 576 East Lincoln. Well, as we continued to expand our membership and reflect this, in 1974, we partnered with West Bloomfield School District and opened a branch in Keego Harbor. The credit union name was changed in 1995 to reflect this, from Birmingham Teachers Credit Union to Birmingham Bloomfield Credit Union. And as we continued to expand, so did our buildings. In 2006, the credit union incorporated Oakland County. And in 2012, we purchased a new building to also reflect that. In 2019, we decided, Board of Directors, and chartered to include anyone who lives, works, worships, or has a business now in the state of Michigan. Also in 2019, we continued to grow by partnering with Metro North Credit Union, another field of membership, and Waterford School Districts. In 2020, we took on Lakes Community Credit Union, as well as Unity Credit Union, now adding 7 locations: Shelby, Waterford, Lake Orion, Holly, Birmingham, just to name a few. In 2021, the board then felt that we needed to change our name once again to now Michigan United Credit Union, uniting all of the credit unions. You know, along the way, what never changed is when you walk in the door, we serve you with a smile. I was going to say that whenever you walk in the door, everybody knows your name, but most of us know that's synonymous with cheers, and I wasn't quite sure that was as appropriate. So we do serve you with a smile. We welcome anybody to come and join us. And I know why we're here today, because I am very happy to introduce our first speaker. Mr. Rick West is an educational leader with more than 16 years serving public schools in Michigan. He is currently serving as the superintendent of Bloomfield Hills Schools, where he began this summer. Prior to joining Bloomfield Hills Schools, he worked at the Troy School District for 10 years, most recently serving as their deputy superintendent. He also served as executive director for business services at Royal Oak Schools and as interim superintendent, business manager of Adderton Community Schools. Mr. West has a Bachelor of Business Administration from the University of Michigan and a Master's of Business Administration from Texas A&M University, along with numerous certifications, including the School Administrator Certificate for the Michigan Department of Education. Mr. West is passionate about public education, making student-centered decisions, and creating a strong culture where students, staff, and community continue to thrive. At this time, please welcome Mr. Rick West.
Thank you, Linda, and thank you all for that warm introduction and welcome. Let me begin by thanking a few people. First, Jason Rubel and Tamarcus Southward for their hospitality. They are the principals of this school. Our communication staff who put this together, I appreciate your efforts, and certainly everybody here for attending. A couple recognitions. I'd like to introduce the Bloomfield Hills Board of Education members that are in attendance today. I see, and I think I see the ones that are here. Carolyn Noble, our secretary of our Board of Education. Paul Colin, our treasurer. Dr. Michelle Southward, the trustee. And Mr. John Van Gammert, a trustee. I appreciate you being here as well. We have several administrators here, cabinet members. Thank you for your attendance, and thank you for the chamber for having us. Also, Mbika, thank you for being here. I look forward to our partnership in partnering on furthering the public education in the region and the area. So thank you for being here as well. I'm excited to be able to be an ambassador really for the Bloomfield Hills School District. And I think that's what our intentions is with the presentation that we have today. A few things that if I'm successful, we will talk about the points of pride, new faces, new places, certainly me being one of them. I've been on the job for about 46 days today, and we've learned an incredible amount. What's next, and then some upcoming events that I invite you to for our community. So when evaluating opportunities of superintendencies, and knowing I was an aspirational superintendent, it didn't take long to really look at this opportunity in this position. You'll see by the next several slides of why it was an easy decision to jump all in and aspire to become the superintendent of Bloomfield Hills Schools. I could only draw the conclusion that I had to at least try, and here today, 46 days later, I'm sitting as the superintendent and couldn't be more proud and couldn't be more excited about the opportunities that lie ahead. But my understanding of this Chamber of Commerce, I get the opportunity to kind of present what's occurred in the last 365 days probably since we have engaged in this type of forum. So our points of pride, we have several of them, and again, this was part of my evaluation of whether I wanted to become a superintendent of the Bloomfield Hills School Districts, and again, you'll see here why, with some of these statistics, why it was an easy conclusion. In 2024, we graduated 424 graduates from Bloomfield Hills High Schools. They went on to attend 85 different universities and colleges in 28 states, and we have one in England. We had a President's Award for Educational Excellence that was bestowed upon 178 of those graduates, while 32 students earned a perfect 4.0 grade point average, and 59% of those earned a grade point average over 3.5. We also, I'm certain, had others go on to employment opportunities, to trade opportunities, to military, and I really believe that this alone exemplifies the expectations, the high expectations and high achievement of our community. And so again, when evaluating whether or not this was the opportunity, these statistics, these type of high achievement, high expectations, not only aligned with who I am and what I believe, but also align with my experiences coming from the Troy School District. So I am excited, again, to capitalize on and leverage what's been done and figure out how we can do it better. You'll see some gloating statistics here. These are nationally recognized academic achievements, and you can see if your kids attend Bloomfield Hills schools, they have great opportunities to achieve at the highest levels. And I won't read them to you, but just incredible numbers of high academic achievement. And again, it represents the high expectations and the high rigor that we have in the Bloomfield Hills School District. We also do very well in our co-curricular and extracurricular programs. You can see here highlighted, we have 3 state championships, our esports, which probably behind robotics is one of the fastest growing programs that is occurring in public education right now. It's just an incredible opportunity to engage students with their passions, and we do it very well. We have a state championship, and very proud of them. Our boys tennis team won the state championship this past spring, and very proud of them. And then our girls tennis doubles flight 3 won the state championship too. You can see we have district champs, league champs, regional champs, and state champs throughout our sports, our athletic programs. 856 high school student athletes achieved those championships, and you can see them listed here. I'll spare you from reading the slide, but we are just, and one of our focus, we are so proud, and one of our focuses are going to be to continue to enhance the student experience, connect them with their passions, and certainly athletics does that. And you'll see here, the next slide, we have incredible things going on throughout, not only in our athletic programs, but our extracurricular and co-curricular programs as well. And I think it's worthy of reading some of these. I haven't committed them to memory, so I apologize, but our Wolf Warriors robotics team, made up of Eastover Elementary students, was recognized for taking second place at the Michigan State Championships. Bloomfield Hills Middle and High School music students was recognized for their achievement in being selected for the Michigan School Band and Orchestra Association All-State Ensembles. Bloomfield Hills High School student, I think this is really cool, Joseph Dillon was being recognized as the Student of the Year by the Michigan Association of Student Councils and Honor Societies. There's one. And Joseph, I have yet to meet Joseph, but what an incredible achievement that is. And I think, again, that recognizes the work that our staff does. Bloomfield High School students attended the Michigan Association of Broadcasters, Michigan Student Broadcast Awards, a state-level competition. Students placed first or second and/or received an honorable mention at the state competition. Good, incredible experience for our students. Offering that type of program is exceptional and prepares them that want to go into that type of field. So what an incredible opportunity they have, and they achieve at the highest level the state offers. Middle school students right here from North and South Hills forensic teams were recognized for placing first and second at the Michigan Interscholastic Forensic Association State Tournament. Bloomfield Hills High School students, Kendall Schultz and Julia LeBond, were honored for first place at the Michigan Interscholastic Forensic Association State Finals. Again, having the opportunity to engage in that type of program, what an exceptional opportunity, and prepares them for the future. And then our Bloomfield Hills High School Flat 5 combo were honored for being selected to perform at the MSBO Spring Honors Showcase Concert. This is the highest honor that any instrumental ensemble can receive in the state of Michigan, and it was the only jazz band combo selected for the state. So they had that experience in the spring, I understand, and what an incredible opportunity they had. So again, this just represents a fraction of what's actually occurring in our district, and the exceptional work that is being done, and the connections that kids get to make with their passions. And anybody who's going to follow me throughout this year is going to understand that that's my passion. And that's really what we're going to be focused on, is making sure we enhance the student experience, and kids are connected to each other and connected to their passion. So I look forward to that work. We are exceptionally proud, just as Joseph Dillon was one, We are exceptionally proud of Jessica Lapone, who was recognized as the Michigan Association of Secondary Schools Assistant Principal of the Year. This is an award that's bestowed upon one assistant principal, and Jessica was selected based on her effort and dedication to building excellence and providing opportunities for student growth and school-wide achievement. I had an opportunity as part of my 90-day plan. I've met with over 80 individuals, Jessica being one of them, and her passion rings true after I think 25 years or so of service to the district, and her passion for student engagement and student experience and providing robust opportunities was evident in my conversation with her, so it's no surprise to me that she won that award. So very proud of her. First year, this was the first year, and I'm not going to pretend to know. I told you I was 46 days in here, so I'm not going to pretend to know what that transition was like. But Mr. Rubel, I'm sure, has plenty of stories, as well as the administrative staff here. So we lived into a major transition over the past few years, reorganizing, restructuring the district into the elementary configuration that we have, and we opened the two middle schools, North and South, last year. And I'm not going to relay any message that I'm not comfortable relaying. I think we have areas of opportunity, and I think it was a fantastic year given bringing communities together. So, and that is in no short order. I've been through transitions before in configurations. That's in no short order. That takes tremendous leadership, and I know, as I've had discussions with Mr. Rubel and other administrators, I know that that leadership, not only from our board governance level, but from our district administration and our teachers, the work that goes into that, I'm familiar with, and it's just a tremendous load and work, and to make it successful takes a tremendous effort. So I look forward to getting to engage now after the first year, and engage with administrators and see how we can even make it better. So there will be new adjustments. There's construction always going on as we're in the middle of a bond, and we'll get to that in a minute. Our elementaries also saw significant remodel or construction projects. We redid the kindergarten wings in the 4 elementaries, I believe. And our elementary principals are all sitting right here, and they could speak much better to what that experience was. But we are excited again to welcome the kids back into those spaces. There's more work going on at elementaries. We have another summer next year, and we look forward to continuing, again, provide spaces where kids can really, where we enhance the experience of our students. And I personally believe that space matters. I mean, this is a beautiful space, right? We're comfortable. Imagine kids coming in here, getting to learn, getting to adapt, and flexible furniture and all of that. Space matters. We have to make sure that we're comfortable in our learning environments, and that it assists in our efforts to provide high expectation and high experience. So with that, a huge thank you. Last week we were able to secure 1/3 of our operating revenue for the next 20 years through the passage of our operating millage, and thank you goes out to Candace Moynihan and our communications team for developing the strategy, and the Board of Education for their foresight and putting this forth, and really taking a risk and saying, you know what, we're typically gone out 10 years or some fashion of that, and we're going to ask the community to really provide stability and expand that to 20 years. So we are truly thankful for your support. We passed it, I believe, in overwhelming number, and we had a fairly good turnout for an August election. So we are very excited about that stability that it will bring. And we know that the investment in public education, and I think you guys did a nice job in your introductions, that public education and the investment of public education today will shape the leaders of tomorrow. So continuing to do that and securing those resources for years to come will only allow us to do great things moving forward. So thank you to the Bloomfield Hills community. New faces. let's see here. Oop. We have several. We've had several new administrators hired since last year. Certainly, I'm new to the district, and just as I mentioned, honored to be here and serve in this capacity and partner with the rest of the administration and staff to make sure that we make student-centered decisions. A couple other recognitions. Candace Moynihan, I mentioned her once. She's our new Assistant Superintendent of Business Services. Has done an incredible job. Maybe an interesting note, Candace worked with me in Troy School District. She was my finance director as I was the Assistant Superintendent of Business. She came over here 6 months ago. I thought she was so great I'd follow her. So I'm just honored to continue our work, and she, as I mentioned, came in January. Rathika Isaac is our new Lone Pine Elementary principal. Tara Hersberg is our new early childhood education supervisor. Kristen Salaji is taking over as the administrator of student growth assessment and federal and state grants. You can see here, pictured here, Tamarcus Southward is the new assistant principal right here, and we're very excited to have him on board. We have two new supervisors through a restructure, two new supervisors of special education, Stephanie Batarian and Leslie Robluski. It's also probably worth noting that Laura Boca started in January as well, so she's new to the district. So our special education department, we are excited to have them join the learning services team and excited for the work there. So, and then a number of staff throughout the organization, we will be welcoming them back in a couple of weeks, and we are excited for the opportunities that the fresh perspectives, one thing I've benefited from, and as I look at our administrators, we have seasoned veterans that have been here a long time, and we have some fresh perspective with new people, and combining that and leveraging the experiences and the knowledge of all of them is going to be part of the work, and I'm just excited to be able to be part of that. Quick update on the bond. Thanks again to our generous community, the amazing transformations, as I mentioned. Living into this space, living into our new elementary spaces. You're not going to want to go there in the next couple of weeks. We're working toward the end, but anybody who's been through construction knows, our technology department's working around the clock, our construction team, and we are committed to turning those buildings over for our teachers in a couple of weeks. But we are in the fourth year, I think, of the bond program. So we have one more summer next year of some intense construction, and look forward to finishing out that bond and really promises made, promises kept, right? The community invested $200 million in us, and we are diligently and stewarding those resources to the commitment that they made. So. Again, it's probably worth noting our strong relationships with our French and Associates, Barton Mallow and Plant Moran Rail Point. They are service providers who work diligently with our operations department to make sure that these projects they're approved by our community are also come to fruition. So just a little bit more detail. You can see here that we have a heavy focus on safety and security as it relates to our elementary data infrastructure, classroom audio and visual, public address updates, access control, video surveillance, secure vestibules and entrances at Lone Pine Elementary and Eastover, new fire protection implementations, and new furniture and lighting. So when we say safety and security is at the forefront of all the decisions we made, the community's made the investment. The board has assured that that's the work that's important, and we are continuing to implement those directions. We are very excited. Eastover, our early childhood program, Bloomin' Preschool at Fox Hills, has moved over officially, and it opened, I think, earlier this week to Bloomin' East, which was the old Eastover Elementary. So again, I'm learning these things as we go, but they did open. Tara Hersberg is brand new to the organization. I met with her yesterday, and we are excited. We service birth through 26 here. We have robust programs throughout, and we have a early childhood program that I would believe is second to none. So they have new space, and we are excited to see that program up and running. And then one of the, maybe our flagship building, Bloomfield Hills High School, is undergoing work, and I'm going to spare you the details on that for time, but it's just going to be a beautiful thing. That's going to be over the next couple of summers as well, as we look at gateways and new concession stands and bathrooms that service the extracurricular activities, and a new wellness center. So we look forward to opening that here shortly. What's next? As I mentioned, our Welcome Back Day is August 27th. I get the distinct opportunity to address in my first address to the staff, and I look forward to welcoming them back. We are working, Karen and I are working diligently on what that message is going to be, based on the numerous conversations that I've had and what message I believe our community and our staff needs to hear. So we are excited to do that. It's sure to be a great day. And then Todd and his staff have worked diligently on the professional development opportunities for our staff throughout that week. And then, of course, we're welcoming our kids back on September 3rd. I've been, and I'll skim this, but 90-day plan and beyond, part of my interview process, and I think part of what the board might have bought was the 90-day plan, and we have diligently, with Rebecca Catherincia, my assistant, we have diligently been going through that. We have had over 80 individual conversations. I've met with community groups, civic groups, and continue to work through that. As I gain knowledge and perception of the opportunities and challenges that exist in the organization for us to formulate what is really on the horizon is a strategic plan, a comprehensive strategic plan. These happen in school districts. I believe in Beeka, you have maybe a model one. I've had an opportunity in my past experiences to engage in this process. They are very powerful processes if done correctly, and I look forward to collaborating with all stakeholders moving forward in really developing the next iteration of the Bloomfield Hills Schools strategic plan. So that's really the focus of the work moving beyond the 90 days, and we will be working again collaboratively and develop a process with our Board of Education, kind of stewarding what that process looks like, and we will be looking to unveil something in the late fall, early winter on what that process may look like. Upcoming events, I'd like to invite you to, as I mentioned, an ice cream social next Wednesday, August 21st, 2 to 3:30 at Wing Lake. If you're interested in knowing me a little bit better or engaging and hearing a little bit more about the district, I'd welcome you out there. Bring your kids. There's a beautiful playground at Wing Lake, and we will be having ice cream as well. So kids love ice cream, and so do adults, quite frankly. So come on out, join us, and look forward to that. As I mentioned, we have a beautiful new preschool, Bloomin' East, at the old Eastover site. Our open house is Tuesday, August 27th, from 7 to 8 p.m. So we are looking forward to welcoming people. If you know parents of young children, please encourage them to come out, look at the building, and look at the offerings we have. And then later into the fall, we have an open house. Our communications team and our family ambassadors have planned an open house for Sunday, November 3rd, 12 to 2 p.m. at Bloomfield Hills High School. And this is planting the seed and something that I'll probably be saying. I do believe, and you mentioned, we are better together. Connecting with community and public education partnership is critical to the student experience. And I look forward to, with my team, collaborating with business partners, the chamber, and figuring out how we can partner to enhance that experience and create a dynamic community where public education is at the forefront, and we are supporting one another in our journey to support kids and make sure they have the best experience that we can possibly provide them. So I thank you. I thank you again for the invitation. I thank you for the support, and I look forward to working with you throughout this school year and hopefully for many years to come. So just know I do believe we are better together. Thank you.
Rick, thank you for your wonderful share this morning, and I think it's safe to say that we're all going to wish you success since you're offering ice cream next week. So let's give Rick another warm welcome and success in his first 90 days. Again, thank you, Mr. West, and now we will hear from our second speaker, Dr. Mbika Roberson, who will be introduced by Eunice Jeffries of OCC, Executive Director of Government and Community Relations and Continuing Education.
Well, good morning, everyone. I was thinking about this morning, and I think I have the easiest job on the program today, to introduce someone that really requires no introduction. So I think I have just about the easiest job. I want to thank you for talking about being better together, because we share that thought and that philosophy at Oakland Community College. And I say that because, Linda, I just want to thank you for the shared co-sponsorship arrangement. I just want to give folks a little bit of insight on that. So for years, Michigan United Credit Union has been the sponsor of this event. I started working at OCC. I saw that you have this event, Breakfast with the Superintendents. I work for a community college. And so I talked to the chamber and I said, wow, OCC would really like to have in on that. Our relationships with local school districts is so important, and this is just a natural opportunity to be together. And so, the chamber said, I don't know, we need to talk to the credit union. And so you have graciously shared this opportunity with us. And I just want to tell you that on behalf of our Board of Trustees and our Chancellor and our administration, we are so proud and so happy to have this partnership and to be here and to address you once a year on behalf of OCC. So thank you. Having said that, better together. Again, I have the easiest job in the room. My colleagues are here from Oakland Community College. I'd like to thank and acknowledge Jeremy Guck, who is our Director of Admissions for the college. Wait, there's more. Also, my colleague Bianca Bryant is here, and she is from the Office of K-12 Partnerships. So if you don't take anything away from this little talk right here about Oakland Community College, just remember Bianca and Jeremy, because they make the magic happen at the college. So thank you both for being here this morning. Still not done. There's an OCC alum, and if there are others in the room, please, thank you. But Mr. Chase McLaughlin is here, and he is a recent OCC graduate, and he is transferring to Oakland University. So again, if there are any other OCC alum here, good morning and thank you. Talking about that, OCC is actually one of the top transfer institutions in the state of Michigan. So we pride ourselves on that. We offer many pathways, not just to get an associate's degree, but also to save a little money, especially now with the Michigan Guarantee, which is for first-time, full-time high school graduates. They essentially go to community college for free. So, and that's not a bait and switch. That's really what it is. The funding is there. And so we are happy to talk about what those options are with anyone. And then anyone that is not a recent high school graduate, we still have the Michigan Reconnect program for individuals that are 25 years or older. So we have a lot of options at Oakland Community College. We're happy to talk to you, and really that's why we're here. We enjoy some joint programming already, I know, with Birmingham schools. So enough about me, enough about Oakland Community College. If you don't know this next speaker already and the work that she does at her school district, then I just have one question for you. Where have you been? Dr. Mbika Robertson has held several leadership positions in Birmingham Public Schools since 2008, including the Superintendent of Schools role in the spring of 2021. Prior to serving in her current role, Dr. Robertson taught elementary and middle school students and held administrative leadership roles in Oakland and Wayne County. She received her doctorate degree in Education Leadership and Policy Studies from Wayne State University. She broke barriers as Birmingham Public Schools' first female superintendent in over a century and its first person of color. Throughout Dr. Robertson's career, she has championed equitable and inclusive and high-quality education for all students. Her dedication to children's success, both in academic and social growth, forms the foundation of her work in K-12 schooling. She strives to create learning environments where every child can thrive and reach their full potential. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to some and present to others, Dr. Mbika Robertson.
Good morning. I want to first thank the Birmingham Bloomfield Chamber as well as our sponsors for allowing us to be here today. I also would like to thank Superintendent West as well as the Bloomfield Hills Board of Education. Thank you. The Bloomfield Hills Board of Education and the school district for hosting this event today. So I'm going to get right to it. We have some of our Board of Education members here from Birmingham. I'd like to I think Amy Holcomer we have, our treasurer. Lori Ajaluni, trustee. And Colleen Zamet, trustee. I also have several members here from our cabinet and district leadership team over here if you wave your hands, so that our community members will know afterwards if they want to talk to someone from finance, technology, communications, and our deputy superintendents over there as well. I'm going to share just a little bit about Birmingham by the numbers, because Birmingham and Bloomfield, we both share a commitment to excellence and rigor within our academics, but we do have a couple of differences. Our enrollment is just over 7,300 students with about 1,100 staff members. And as a district, even though we are called the Birmingham School District, we actually have a number of different communities within our boundaries. And so I'm not going to read all of them here, but we have a lot of different cities and municipalities within the Birmingham boundaries. I wanted to talk today a little bit about our strategic plan, because I am so excited about the work that we are doing around the strategic plan. One of the things that is really important to us is that our strategic plan is a living document. So sometimes you hear organizations, they do a strategic plan, they put all this work in and they put it on the shelf for a few years. And what we are really trying to do is live into our strategic plan. I do quarterly updates with the Board of Education so that they are holding us accountable to doing the work in the strategic plan, because we know that that work is what's going to make our school district better. We have 4 pillars within our strategic plan, and the first is student achievement, of course, because that is the bread and butter of what we do as school districts. I'm not going to go into everything within our strategic plan, but I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things that we have done over the last year and last 2 years in regards to our strategic plan. We have adopted a new K-8 mathematics and literacy resources. Now, let me tell you why that is really important. First of all school districts every several years are looking at their curriculum and then making sure that their curriculum is meeting the needs of the community. For the first time, we adopted a K-8 math resource that spanned from kindergarten through 8th grade, so that there's continuity moving from elementary to middle school and not disjointedness. This past year was our first year in that and implementing that. Also this year, this past year, we worked to adopt new literacy resources. If you've been watching what's happening within education, you know there's a lot of conversation about literacy and reading and making sure that we are using best practices as districts to make sure our students are able to read. And so we did adopt new literacy resources as well, and we will be implementing those resources this year. We adopted new courses that focus on increased readiness, including a future educator course, because we know that we have it's been hard for colleges to find people who want to go into education. And so to help with that, we have a new future educators course right in our high schools to try to promote that within our high school students. We also increased more AP courses to help our students access AP, because we know that as students are taking advanced placement classes within the high school level, they are more likely to be successful because they're getting the rigor of college courses right in high school. We expanded junior kindergarten, and that is kind of a transitional kindergarten for families whose students, they're ready, they're age appropriate for kindergarten, but they may not think that their parents may not think that they're socially ready to move into kindergarten. And so we have expanded junior kindergarten to now 6 classes within our district. And we are also expanding preschool offerings this year, just like Bloomfield Hills, really looking at 4-year-old preschool at full day for families who are interested. We have several schools named National Schools of Character, and I'll talk a bit about character when I talk about our next pillar. But one of the major pieces that we have moved to in our high school system is we are this year moving from a trimester system to a semester system. For the last several years, we have been working on a trimester system, and one of the things that we have some concerns about is that we were making our students learn a full year of math in 2 trimesters. So they were having to learn in about 24 weeks what other schools and school districts had 36 weeks to learn. And so we believe that this shift to moving from trimesters to semesters will help with some continuity of learning for our high school students. I just put this in this slide just to say that as we're promoting student achievement, some of the things we're preparing them for college and careers, and these are just a snapshot of a couple of schools that our students graduated this past year where they're attending, and you do see early middle college on there for OCC. We are also promoting not only college and university, but we also are promoting the skilled trades, because we know that the skilled trades are also very important for our students. And all students, we want to prepare all students to be able to go to college if that's what they choose to do. But we also want to make sure that students have the opportunity to know about other careers that can be just as lucrative and and they can have just as much success. So our second pillar in our strategic plan is actually creating a culture of unity and well-being. Now, I have community on there because we need the community to make that work, and that's why we're here to get together today. With the culture of unity and well-being, we really believe that students can't get to student achievement unless they feel a sense of value and belonging within the school system. And not only our students, but also our staff. And so some of the things that we are working on is one, making sure that we're giving a culture and climate survey to our students and to our staff, because we need to know if we're putting in measures to improve the culture, how do we know that we're actually making progress? With student achievement, we can see that by test scores. We can see that by grades. For creating a culture of unity and well-being, we need to ask those questions, and that's why we give a survey. We're also training our staff on how to build communities of character. We have a Better Together committee, so and all of our buildings to really focus on how do we strengthen our core values that are within our strategic plan. And we take those core values that the community has said is important to them, and we allow our students to lead campaigns around those core values as part of our Better Together committees. We also began restorative practice training for all of our staff. Now, we've done restorative practices a few years ago, but we felt like after coming back from COVID, we needed to do a retraining of all of our staff around restorative practices. And restorative practices is not just about the harm that is done sometimes when you're trying to restore something that has been broken. It is about being proactive and building community first. And so we've been working with our staff on those measures. I want to give a shout out to the Birmingham Rotary Club who helped fund our canine comfort crew. So we have therapy dogs in each of our schools to help with students when they're having a rough day. And even though I will say I am not an animal person, but when I see a student petting one of those canines, you can't help but to just have your heart melt. And the other thing that we're doing around creating a culture of unity and well-being is really expanding student voice. There's a lot of adults who make a lot of decisions around things that our students are being impacted on every day. And so in addition to the student-led campaigns that I shared earlier, we did focus groups, which with our culture survey, like we saw certain trends come out in that culture survey, but then we said, well, what does this actually mean? And so with our secondary students, we had staff actually hold focus groups with them to find out exactly how they're experiencing Birmingham Public Schools. The other thing that we started this past year is I have a Superintendent Student Ambassador program. And so I have about 21 students from 9th to 12th grade who meet with me monthly, and they give us ideas about what we should be doing better in our school district. They have the opportunity, if they choose, to stay within this ambassador program until they graduate from high school. And we purposely made the application accessible so that we were able to grasp a large swath of the population. We did not want just all of the students who are high achieving or honor students, but we wanted all students because we represent all students. So one of the things they said to me is I hold a coffee and conversations with the community where I sit somewhere every several weeks in a community, and anybody can come talk to me. I hold a soup with staff where I sit in the staff lounge and I bring soup and they can tell me whatever they need to say. But they said, you don't do anything for us. And so now I have to do cookies and conversations and bring cookies this upcoming school year with the students so that I can hear what they have to say as a large student population. Our third pillar, I'm rushing on time, I'm going to keep moving. Our third pillar is world-class talent, and that is retaining and attracting world-class talent, which is our staff, because none of this can happen without our collective staff. This QR code actually goes to a program that one of our teachers did with one of our students where they were fellows, and they traced a World War II veteran who died in combat from Birmingham, and they flew to Normandy and did all of the history around his time within World War II as an event. And that's just something to show how our teachers, the commitment that we have with our teachers to work beyond the school year, because they did this in the summer. But it is important for us to attract and retain world-class talent, and that's what we continue to do. Our fourth pillar And final pillar is responsible stewardship. And so for those of you who may not be aware, there were a couple of years ago where we had a projected shortfall of $14.8 million. It was my first year, first year surprise. I hope that you do not have anything to anywhere to that magnitude. But what I am happy to say is that our audited books for last year, for the 22-23 school year, we ended up with a shortfall of 0.2% of revenue. And so we are, and we expect with audited numbers for the 23-24 school year to see something very similar. In our strategic plan, we plan on correcting the shortfall completely by 2027. And the reason that we're doing it in increments, even though we're in a very good place, is because our first priority is to the children of our school district, and we want to make sure that we are making the progress while still holding the high quality education that our children deserve. Moody's has dropped the negative outlook for the forecast because they see the hard work that we're doing. And I'm just really proud of our board and our community in pulling together to move our district forward. We also have a 2020 bond, and I didn't put a whole lot of pictures here. I just wanted to share one, which is our Home athletic facilities, absolutely beautiful. We did a grand opening this past year, as well as a grand opening for the Groves athletics. If anybody lives in the area and has driven by, there's still plenty of construction that we are doing in our district. It was secondary heavy and athletic heavy in terms of the focus. But we are just can't be more pleased in the work that's being done, and keeping our fingers crossed that all of the renovations will be done by the start of the school year. So I would be remiss, because I have this audience of community members, to not mention the challenges in education, because we need your help in this area. The financial health of education is always at the forefront of our minds as superintendents. They did pass this state aid budget, which allowed for a 5.75% retirement offset, which for districts like ours was I think very helpful, even though we did not get a foundational allowance increase. But it was not, even though we received this offset, so we usually pay about 21% into retirement. They took 5.75% off of that. They did not codify it into law. So if they don't do that for us, then it is like we only received a grant for this year. And that can be devastating for school districts. So we need you, if you have influence with legislators, to ask the question, how are you going to make sure that public education is solvent? Many school districts are losing enrollment because we are in a state with declining population. I will say that I am excited to say that last year Birmingham was one of the few school districts in the county that actually increased enrollment. But we know we have decline in population. And so that the only way that school districts are able to receive money is from those students who actually attend the school. So we need your help around that in funding. Not to mention, and Superintendent West spoke about this earlier, that we're focused a lot on safety. 30 years ago, the conversations around safety that we have to have, helping to pay for school resource officers, secure vestibules, that did not exist. And so we are also having to take on more than just the education without the funds to add to that. We also have, you see, the mental health challenges, and you know that as a community. Our districts, and I don't know, I can't speak for you, but we generally don't have the staffing shortages that some do in education, because people want to work in our districts. But I would be remiss not to put that on there, because many school districts have that as a huge problem. But the last one I do want to just talk about just for 1 second, and that's the political climate. We're going into an election season. And no, I'm not going to talk about the politics of the presidential election, but what I will say is this. This narrative around that public education does not work is a false narrative. There is no organization that's perfect. My father was an electrical engineer at GM, and I know as he was in management that he had some things that he thought GM could do better. And I know that he worked within the system to try to make GM do the things that needed to be better. But what he didn't do is walk around and every time someone asked him about GM, he talked about how horrible GM was because he knew that his livelihood was connected to GM. He supported GM because all of us had to have cars that were GM cars. If you lived in that house, that's what you had to have. His stocks were tied into GM. And so it's not that you can't have the critical conversation. It is that you have the critical conversation and the solution to help make it better. Whether you send your child to a public school or not, you are tied to public education because your house values, your businesses are tied to public education, and you need public education to be successful. So when people are having those conversations, please ask them, have they tried to talk to anybody from the school to make things better? Do they actually know what's happening, or are they just listening to sound bites? Because we need your help in changing that narrative. The fact that we have a lot of people who don't want to go into education anymore is shameful. But we all can help with that narrative. Sorry, I felt like I had a captive audience. I needed to do that. The last thing I want to do is I didn't talk about some of the academics and the extracurriculars, but we have them here in our district. And some of you have seen this video before, but I think this video is a nice way to kind of wrap up who we are in Birmingham.
Be the best version of yourself. Be exceptional. Be creative. Be remarkable. Be magnificent. Be spectacular. Be undefinable. Be bold. Be brilliant. Be Birmingham.
I just want to say that video was done in-house by our staff member. The voiceover is one of our teachers. All of the students are our students, and the music was played by our students. So that is who we are. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Dr. Robertson. I agree, that was a great video.
Thank you.
Now let's get started with our question and answer session. I appreciate you. I have one note card if there's still time. Okay. Please discuss trends in funding of public education. I'll read that again. Please discuss trends in funding of public education.
So my background has been on the business side of education for the last 16 years. So I've lived it pretty closely, and I think Dr. Roberson hit on it that there's continual challenges as it relates to the sustainability of the funding of education in Michigan. Certainly, what happened in 1994, PA. I forget what we refer to it as now, was a solution to tie funding to property tax values. We have found in the last decade that there's challenges. Really, the last 2 decades that there's challenges with that. However, it's not perfect. The last 8 years, I will tell you, under Governor Whitmer, the prioritization of investment in public education has been significant. And they'll tout that on the political trail, and partly it's true. I'm concerned right now where the conversation is as it relates to tying or putting funding in categoricals and not into the foundation, or messing with the strategy that was developed for MIPS or for our retirement system. I think there's certainly it's strategic in nature, but I think it's challenging because we didn't get a foundation per pupil foundation allowance increase this year. Albeit we did receive additional revenue, it's not codified, as Dr. Roberson said, it's not codified into law, so it creates challenges in planning for the future. So I think overall, I would characterize the last 6 years really as fairly good. We've seen some historic per pupil foundation allowance increases. We've seen investments in retirements. We've seen through the COVID, the federal government pumped a lot of money into public education for us to address the needs of our students. And the concern is, and you'll hear it probably throughout the state, that fiscal cliffs are coming. We see declining enrollment, slowing revenue. So those are the concerns, and it's going to take diligence and fiscal stewardship and good governance and management to really plan. When we're talking about strategic planning, really plan and make wise decisions about the resources that we are going to have available to us. So I'm challenged by it. I think certainly I don't think there's any better investment in our state funding or from the state priority, state budget, than public education. And I'm challenged by it, but I'm also optimistic that at least in Bloomfield Hills, what I've seen in the first time, that we are well positioned to steward the resources that we do have available to us.
Can I just add something about timing as well? One of the things by law, as a school district, we have to have a budget passed by July 1st every year. But we have to wait for the state to tell us how much funding we will get so we can understand how we will use those funds for the upcoming year. Unfortunately, we don't generally receive that information until late June, I think June 27th this year, wasn't it?
It was actually after July.
Was it July?
So, yeah.
So we have to pass a budget based on assumptions. And that is also difficult. So we're also, while we're wondering about the funding, we're also, we have issues with how the categoricals and other things are put into place. We're also doing this kind of in the blind, and then having to come back later and make adjustments to our budget. And none of us run our households that way. We just don't. And so that's another piece that really needs to be addressed.
And I'd be remiss, my soapbox the last few years have been public education's become a lot more than public education. We are now public safety, we're public health, So we have a tremendous responsibility within our school districts to serve the whole student. We're not just focused on the rigor of academics anymore. And I think we both hit on it, safety costs millions of dollars every year. The mental health issues that we have experienced and are on the rise since COVID are creating the need for additional resources in our schools. So investing in public education isn't only public education. I think that's a misnomer. We are public health, we're public safety, we're servicing, in our community, we're servicing 5,100 families, not just 5,100 students. So, part of my job, part of our board's job, really any public educator is to be a fierce advocate. And get in the voice or get in the ears of our elected officials and make sure that it is a priority when they go to Lansing, that public education is their priority. And I think there's no better worthy cause of a public dollar than putting it into public education.
That was an excellent question, whoever submitted that one. Is there any more?
Are you responding in any way to the Surgeon General's recent opinion about social media?
Would you repeat the question, please?
The question was,
Yeah.
are we responding to the Surgeon General's warning regarding social media?
Well, I guess I would say, because we have to remember that social media is really happening outside of the school day. One of the things I know, and it was brought up by one of our board members about the harms of students being on social media and some of the research that is out there, is we need to do more education for our families about how social media is impacting our students. Because it's not like when we're teaching, we're not teaching students to pull out their phones to use it for social media. But what we can do is partner with parents and families about how, making sure they know and are aware of the harms, and so that they can monitor that for them.
Yeah, I'll add, this was a question I actually asked during my interview process, and I think the leading research right now, or the leading book, is The Anxious Generation. Is a book that you'll probably hear about, and I think our high school might have encouraged or challenged our community to read this book. I think we know with some certainty the harm that social media can cause. Now, as powerful of a tool as it can be from a connection standpoint and informing people of the events and being celebratory in nature, we know the harms that can occur as well, and we know the addiction, quite frankly, that occur. I'm a father of 3, and I see it, and I am bothered by it. I'm challenged by it, and I think when we get into our strategic planning process, I would imagine that that's going to be part of the discussion of how we can best, as I mentioned, we're not just public educators. Now we have to worry about the social media usage of our kids inside and outside of our school. And I think it's part of the conversation. I look forward to engaging our administrators and our board in the conversation of how can we maybe lead by example? How can we demonstrate positive behavior as it relates to social media and engage in that conversation? I do believe it's here to stay. And I do believe that there's some good to come from it, but I also believe it can be dangerous.
Now, we do have our two traditional middle schools. They are not allowed to use their phones during the school day. They have to be away, so that to help with some self-regulation.
Thank you.
I have time for one more question.
AI, can you just address what, if anything, you're doing with, about, or AI?
So I'm going to repeat the question you asked. AI, what are we doing around AI? So I am excited, and our technology person is here because we have an AI task force that we worked closely with staff, You have students, staff, students, and there was a collaboration with Oakland Schools as well around, what tools that are out there, how we're going to use it, what guidance do we need to have for students, what guidance do we need to have for teachers. And he and that committee created some policies around artificial intelligence and also some guidelines in terms of whether or not how we're going to use it and how it's going to be introduced into the classroom, and which tools are appropriate to use with students and at what time and how much. And so it's still, I think, even though we have those out to our staff, it's still evolving as well. And actually, we had a conversation a little bit yesterday about what are our next steps in terms of for our staff. And one of the things you shared a new tool that you sent out to all of the staff members for them to do a tutorial, learn how to use it for those people even who are not teachers, and how you can use it with your work environment, even if you're not in front of students. So we're doing some work around that right now.
And I'll just add, when I say we're better together as a public education entity, she mentioned Oakland Schools, that they've provided guidance, and I really think Birmingham has led the way from my understanding as far as the collaboration that's going on. And Bloomfield Hills, our learning services team, is engaged in this work and following the models that are out there. I think, you'll see in public education, we're going to figure out how to leverage AI. Again, it's something here to stay, and we're going to figure out how we engage students in an appropriate manner and leverage the technology that's available to us. We know it's powerful. We know that it's evolving, and we're going to engage with it. We'll study best practice. We'll partner with the local ISD, local superintendents, and see what best practice is, and develop our path forward as it relates to AI.
We want to thank everyone for coming out this morning, especially Bloomfield Township Television for recording our program. Thank you to Bloomfield Schools and their hardworking team for hosting us. We hope to see everyone next year at Birmingham Schools. Enjoy the day, enjoy the summer. Thank you.